There's just been a ton of changes and updates to the Amazfit lineup, and also a huge change to the company itself. So let's do a deep dive into the changes and take a look at the brand new Amazfit GTR3, which I happen to have had in the studio for a little while already. Welcome back to another episode of STU'S Reviews. I've always loved Amazfit watches, and I've been a real advocate for not just the value and quality that they offer, but also the massive amount of variety of styles you can get. But the question is, does the new GTR3 hit the spot for me? And to answer that question, let us first take a closer look at this new device. This is the Amazfit GTR3. Along with the new dynamic faces on the AMOLED display, the redesigned silhouette is rather curvy. The rear is the same, featuring Amazfit's BioTracker 3 tech to measure everything from heart rate to blood oxygen levels, and all of this is waterproof to a depth of 50 meters. Perhaps the crowning change to the form factor is the new digital crown to navigate menus in a tactical and physical way, giving feedback through the inbuilt haptic motor. With its battery life at 21 days, this on paper is quite the powerhouse, but there's something very big holding it back. So on the surface, the design has had a massive overhaul, and I must say that I really like it. The colour, the style, the size, it's without a doubt a wonderfully designed product. And the addition of the new digital crown, which we've seen in plenty of different other smartwatches, is a really welcome touch too, and it allows you to scroll through all of the menu systems and notifications and messages without having to wipe your greasy fingers all over the display. Talking about the screen, the spec of the GTR3 is almost identical to the GTR2 when it comes to the screen, with the same PPI and being AMOLED. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing. The screen was and still is a really strong part of the lineup, and it's even extremely readable in sunlight as well, being 1000 nits. Now it also has, this time, a higher refresh rate, and the software can run at a consistent 60 frames per second, making the screen super nice in this iteration. But talking about the software, this is perhaps the most perplexing part of the GTR3. Now there's a huge mention and big push to suggest that there's a new operating system running on the watch. And whilst this may be true, the odd thing is it feels and looks identical to the previous models I've tested from the GT2 lineup. There might be a few very minor changes to some of the graphical elements, but these are so minuscule that it feels hardly relevant to draw even a small amount of attention to it. This in itself is a little bit disappointing, as I guess I was hoping for a little bit more from Amazfit this time, and there's a good reason why, which I'll explain towards the end of this episode, so do stay tuned and we'll discuss that in a minute. But there's something, however, worth pointing out here about this new OS, and it could be a small taster of some of the great things to come. And that's that in the companion app on the phone, there is now a Zepp OS app store. Now, this could be extremely promising, as it allows them to add additional optional functionality through applications at a later date. And there's already a small selection on there, such as a calculator or drinks reminder. But more importantly, it could also allow third-party apps to be installed on the watch, which would be an incredible step forward for Amazfit devices. But, there's always a but, I do have some reservations about this, and most of that comes from the apprehension that app developers just will not spend their time actually making apps. Even some of the biggest wearable operating systems available have an embarrassing lack of support from developers. So what would the incentive be for them to spend time developing for Zepp OS? On one hand, I'm genuinely excited for the prospects. On the other, I'm a little bit concerned, but only time will tell whether or not this functionality is a great or a pointless addition. Now, putting my thoughts to one side about this supposed new operating system, the core functionality is still rock solid, and in my eyes perhaps even unmatched in the health tracking abilities. Everything the watch can track can be viewed on the front page of the companion app, and by tapping on any of the measurements, usually it gives you some more detail and sometimes recommendations on how to improve that particular measurement. Like for example, in the sleep section, it'll make small suggestions to help you sleep better at night. Although the only thing that will help me better sleep at night is finding the off switch on my 8-month-old baby. There is one other functionality on the watch's OS that pairs up quite nicely with the home view of your health stats, and that's the ability to do something called One Tap Measurement. Clicking on this will automatically take a reading for your heart rate, your stress level, your blood oxygen and breathing rate over a 45-second period. And I actually really like this because in the past you'd have to manually measure each marker individually, which was a bit of a pain in the arse. But what's also interesting here is that once the readings are finished and you view it on the watch, you can then click View in Mobile App and it will actually control your phone to open up that page within the app, which is, I guess, quite a nifty little feature, if a bit unnecessary. But they also seem to have updated the Amazon Alexa integration as well, which appears to be more stable and quicker than ever before, which is a huge welcome to those with smart homes and smart home enthusiasts out there. Turn off stag lamp. Although, unlike the GTR2, the 3 doesn't have a speaker, meaning you won't get any audio feedback, and it also means that you aren't able to make any Bluetooth calls on the watch. This feature will be limited to the Pro version only. And here is where I have a bit of a bee in my bonnet about the new GT3 range. It seems like Amazfit have dropped the cheaper E range in favour of a naming system that follows the Pro and normal conventions, bringing out this time the GTR3 and the GTR3 Pro. Feature-wise, the standard GTR3 runs a very similar feature experience to the watered-down GTR2e, and the Pro runs a feature set similar to that of the old standard GTR2, such as the onboard speaker and internal storage for music. And they've been a little bit clever here, and this might go under the radar for a lot of people. But the GTR2e range, which would be the cheaper of the 2 previous gen GTR2 devices, sits at an RRP of £119. Now that means that with the GTR3 being a similar feature set to the GTR2e, I would expect the price to be similar. However, by dropping the E and naming this the standard model, the price has increased to £149, which is roughly the same RRP of that of the standard GTR2 had on release, except the 3 has less features like the 2e did. They've then taken what I would have considered the standard version in the naming system of the old style and slapped the word Pro onto the end of the name, and then slapped a much higher price tag onto it at £179, and in so doing have managed to subversely increase the price of the GTR range of watches by about £30 from the previous generation, if all of that made sense. The thing is, although £149 isn't too expensive, some of the pretty decent features on this watch, I'm going to be completely honest here and say that this year, and for that price, coming round to the point I made earlier, I expected more. In the past, you paid a lot less for Amazfit devices, and that's largely because of the simplified nature of the watch. No NFC, no rich notifications, no bells and whistles, and there's all sorts of cutbacks, such as no app logos for the majority of notifications, which just shows the word app. But the point is, I loved that about Amazfit. It was a cheaper watch for a simpler experience. But over time and over each generation, the price has continued to get more and more and more, whilst the competitive devices from other manufacturers, some of which can do a lot more, are getting cheaper and cheaper. And Amazfit haven't really added much to warrant this increase in price, in my opinion, to make it competitive. £179 for the GTR3 Pro puts it in the same price of a TicWatch E3, a device that, although might not have as comprehensive fitness tracking or an OLED display, it runs Wear OS, giving it far greater functionality, and also working with Google Pay for NFC payments. Hell, Even the Apple Watch Series 3, a device that I've strangely never even mentioned before on the channel, but none of you have ever questioned why, but there's a very good reason which you'll find out soon, is only £179. Yes, it's an older device, but it's still significantly more feature-rich than the GTR3 Pro, undeniably. Now, ignoring the Pro version at that steeper price, is the standard version of the GTR3 a good device, and is it worth £149? In a nutshell, yes, but only just. To elaborate a little bit further, the only real pull for me now would be the really strong fitness tracking capabilities. I mean, there's over 130 different workouts that you can track through the watch, and I love the Pi system, which is the global standard that Amazfit use to tailor health recommendations. It's fantastic. But this is kind of it. Sure, the new watches are a little bit snappier and look a little bit nicer than the previous gen, but really the price increase leaves a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. And the new Zepp OS, well, it may be that this will eventually allow for greater functionality, but at the moment only feels like an iterative change. Would Amazfit benefit from adopting something like Wear OS in more expensive options like the GTR3 Pro, for example? I think so. And I think there could be a really groundbreaking partnership here with Amazfit's fantastic and diverse lineup, paired with a more powerful OS like Wear OS. I think would make for a far better experience and much more sense than what the current state of affairs is. So in conclusion, as much as I love the new styling and some of the smaller changes for the GTR3, I expected a little bit more from this one. And that concludes my thoughts on the GTR3. Guys, if you found my opinion helpful at all, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe and notification bell, because it'll help me out and it'll help you see more STU'S reviews. And I want to know what you think of the GTR3. Is it a good change, or is it kind of more of an iterative change? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested in finding out what you guys think. But other than that, guys, thanks for joining, and I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.